everyone, welcome to Sofa Chit Chat. I'm Jacklyn, the Artistic Director of Norwegian Cultural Center and your host for today's Sofa Chit Chat. And we have here today the founders of Norwegian Cultural Center and Aquarius homeschool, Jon&Olga Vikan.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, and for the start, I'm very curious. Both of you are actually from the north of the globe. How did you end up in Southeast Asia and particularly Singapore?
It's an interesting question actually, because all the time since we've been here for our honeymoon back in 2011, we really wanted to come back. And we tried many times actually to do the big move. Unfortunately, we were unsuccessful and we were very busy with our own lives. We got kids in Norway, we were in our old ventures, we built up some businesses in Norway and had a lot of family and friends there. So then one day we decided after selling some properties that now is the time to do it before the kids start school.
Oh, so you actually just pack your bag and you sold your properties without even having like a job here or a business venture here. You just kind of came.
Yeah, it was a little bit like that because we decided to kind of pack everything and we thought it would be a great time to travel around Asia. So as Singapore as a hub, because it's a great location and everything is connected with the flights, and we wanted to investigate the Asia a lot, and it was also visa issues because with Norwegian passport you can stay in Singapore only 3 months and then you have to kind of go in and out, and so the plan was like that. And we came to Singapore and we considered it as a big luck, actually 2 days before the lockdown.
Whoa! Yeah, and I think it's like, I don't know how the both of you feel, because a lot of parents, especially I think Asian parents, would be very worried about kids' education, especially when you moved here, your kids are like 4 and 5. So they are like starting preschool, preparing. You should be preparing to get them in the best school, the best education. But you decided to actually leave your country and come to Singapore, and you started a homeschool Aquarius. Yeah. So can you share about like your thoughts and how was the idea behind? How did this came about?
Yeah, we are actually people who live in the flow. So we can't say that everything was decided and we know everything that time, but we trust the life, and it was actually, it's all our best decision happening like that. So as I said, when we decided to do the move, we have like 1.5 years before the school should start for our oldest daughter, Emma. And then we're supposed to travel and kind of be flexible, because kindergarten is not really putting any obligations on you. You can take children, you can So the plan was to be back to Norway and start school as ordinary. But then when we are in Singapore, we started to settle down here, and we started to we actually put our kids in a preschool here. It was like for a few months, maybe half a year. But then things again, COVID showed us that it's not a solid solution. So because the schools start to close and we have to have a children home and something, and we started to think, okay, how we can find a convenient solution for us. And then we end up as a homeschooling because it's the most flexible decision. And it was quite scary, especially for me. I know that you actually have to put a little bit of not the pressure, but
I had to be convinced.
Yes,
I think,
you have to make this decision, and I think it was a great decision because it went much better than we thought.
So I read some articles about people who are traveling around the globe on sailboats, etc. And they have been in contact with their schools for the kids, and normally the teacher just say, just go. The kids will learn so much on this journey around the world, and which you cannot possibly learn in the classroom. And I was not so scared actually to do this big step, this big jump. It was not scary for me. And when it was a chance to do the homeschooling, because a lot of the inspiration I got from doing this was actually gathered from Elon Musk and his Astronova school, which he created. He used to have his kids on the best school in San Francisco, and apparently not satisfied with his school and the way the teachers or the educational system is working and how they're teaching his kids. So he decided to take them out, and he started a school in his SpaceX premises. And the thing is that he wanted them to be more critical thinking and more problem solving, and that they need to collaborate and have more teamwork than they get in a traditional school. And yeah, that was kind of the first initial thought when I decided to do this for our own kids.
Yeah, and when we actually started to do this curriculum, when we kind of faced the issue that we need to fulfill the schedule actually, and what we have to put there, then we started to think about our own values. You know, what is important for us, how we live, and actually what we want to our kids learn from us. And that has defined the direction when we start to search for, because we, for example, very mindset oriented people. We like to we believe that everything is going from your thoughts. Thoughts are material, and how you think that's the life would be. What your thoughts was yesterday, that's your present, right? And that's your future. So, and then we started to think, okay, but how we actually can teach our kids like that in like more systematic order. Like, of course, we can tell them every day like what we think, and this is a great example, you know. But we decided like, oh, maybe we can do it in a more precise way, you know. And then we started to search around what exists in the market, and something we found a great actually school here in Singapore. We were really surprised that something like this existed in Singapore actually. Yeah, so it was our first kind of big move, and then I started to think about nutrition and like the way how you treat your body, how you feed yourself, and how you take care of your body so you're strong, healthy, and actually not facing these sugar issues every day. Yeah, so then we started to search a course about that, and we found the partners here again in Singapore, which will create a course for us. So we really hope for this collaboration. And then another third part, maybe you can tell about that.
Yeah, it was kind of by coincidence that I get to know this company. It's a Malaysian company who is primarily focused on AI and developing AI solution and teaching kids about that, and kind of very forward thinking, like tech savvy ventures. And they are teaching kids entrepreneurship, for example. So they should kind of go after their own passion and their own interest, and create a business around that. And we had a meeting with them just a couple of weeks ago, and they are also interested to collaborate. So I think we now have a strong foundation for our school, which consists of 3 pillars, so to say. So it's body, mind, and soul. And that will be kind of foundation, and everything else will be built on top of that.
Oh, so the school is actually still building up, it's still developing, and you are taking the time to slowly find the most suitable courses for this homeschool. Could I say that?
Yeah.
Yes,
absolutely. And I think it's also based on my background, entrepreneurship, and what we've been doing so far is that of course it's a balance between kind of risk and how much you should investigate, how much analysis is required before you jump into a new venture.
Yes.
What I've been learning is that it's better to jump in and do iterations and improvements. So you need to have a minimum viable product, go out to the market and try to get feedback and improve instead of just sitting at home planning for 1 year and then release it. So that's what we are doing now, is to kind of to go fast and try to get feedback as soon as possible and then do improvements.
Okay, and I think this is definitely it's not only learning journey as investors, as entrepreneurs, as parents.
Yes.
As parents is challenging as well to do this, and you are actually like experimenting with kids, with your own kids as well, which is like proving to be pretty good right now. And I think you apart from Aquarius homeschool, you also started Norwegian Cultural Center. So was this like your very initial idea to start a business in Singapore, or was it just like you really just want to come to Singapore to start traveling around?
Yeah, so what Olga said previously, I think our initial plan was to use Singapore as a hub to travel around Southeast Asia for a couple of years or so. And then since we managed, we came to Singapore, and 2 days later it was a lockdown. All the borders around was closing, and we had to find something to do here. Because it was a kind of luck in disguise because we really enjoy everything about Singapore.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I got to know that the Norwegian school, which has been operating here since 1983, was supposed to discontinue, which were very saddening for us because we kind of had a hope that our kids at least they should go there and to continue maintaining their language, Norwegian language, which I think is important. So then I decided to look into that if it's possible to continue the Norwegian school in Singapore. And at the same time, it was kind of needed to start a company. I thought a little bit broader. I wanted to kind of reach out and to make it Norwegian Cultural Center. Also because I talked with different business people that, of course, Singapore and Norway have a long history and are very matured and well developed in exchange of businesses between the countries. However, when it comes to the cultural part, it's almost non-existent. So I think it's a gap in the market there, and we really wanted to investigate that. So that's kind of one of the reasons why I started Norwegian Cultural Center. And then I also got to know Sigrid, who is now in our NCC as well. And she kind of just confirmed my thoughts that it's definitely needed. And it's all started from there, actually.
Oh, so we could say that this is all fate because you came here 2 days later, it was locked down, and then you wanted to register your kids in the Norwegian language school in Singapore, which was planning to close down. And you just took over, and then you started a Norwegian Cultural Center, like that.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really very. It is a very brave decision to do that. You have been making a lot of very brave.
Action-oriented man.
Yeah,
That's true.
And very adventurous. I would say it's very adventurous. So, why would this? I mean, other than you saw that there was this gap between Singapore and Norway, except business, there's nothing much being exchanged. Except this gap, why would you even take this big step into this industry? Arts and culture is not an industry that you're familiar with, and you mentioned that you wanted to do this even before you spoke to Sigrid, who is our team member now, and she was from the arts. She's from the arts, but you are not. You just did it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm completely not familiar with arts and culture at all. I was very much into the business side of things. So being a consultant and building up a property portfolio in Norway, it was far away from any arts and culture. So yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
It was a very new venture for me. However, I think that how the world is going forward now, it's requiring transition. And people need to be able to change and transition and pivot their businesses towards another direction, and to believe that you can go on in the same kind of path which you have already done for the last 30, 50 years. Is maybe slightly naive. So I really have the feeling that if I want to contribute more meaningful, I need to switch and to transition myself into some other industry. And actually, it wasn't so far away from what I've been looking at before, because my master thesis, actually, which I wrote back in 2006, it was dealing with how to use creativity to release kind of upside potential in big projects, complex projects. So in the research for that thesis, I talked a lot with artists because artists, as you probably know, are very creative people. They are more innovative, kind of more free thinking, and it's so much inspiration to get from this kind of industry. So it was a big eye-opener for me that why not try to combine art and culture and traditional business, because it really can learn a lot from each other. So traditional business can learn a lot from the creativity and innovation, which is from the arts industry. And also maybe arts industry can learn something about monetizing their passion in a better way.
Oh,
yeah, I just wanted to add here that kind of artist, like any artist, is also kind of a project, right? And if you want to be a successful artist, I mean, with the income and everything, you need a manager in a way. You need to be managed.
Yes.
And I know that artists sometimes they're not very much into that, right?
No.
They're purely creative people, and it's totally fine. It's great. But if you have a manager next to that, the person who can organize the process, who can present it, who can like find your clients and expose you to the world, that's, I think, win-win situation. So that's why we can actually apply our background in that side at least.
Yeah, very interesting. So your encounters with the arts was only during your master's thesis when you start talking to artists, but that also could say it started a little spark in you thinking about creativity and businesses.
Yeah, I would say it actually did. Yeah, my uncle is a painter.
Ah.
My father was painting a little bit, but yeah, it's mostly business.
So, out of curiosity, how about you? Have you ever imagined yourself as an artist, painter, singer?
Not really. No, more like starting new projects, more entrepreneurship.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about Olga? Have you ever?
I was always into the music, like since I was young, and I never. But unfortunately, I didn't have any chance to study it, like education it or something. But all my life, as I remember myself, I always have my iPod with me or something. Music always followed me, and especially recently when I actually tune a little bit into the Asian music, I'm now really fond of that. And I was just also looking around to the young talents around, and I start to feel like I can support them somehow, some kind of to show them to the world, because this wave has already started, but it's how to give it another, how to say, boost. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And I feel like I have resources and support to do that. So yeah, that's also drive me, because it's my true passion.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
As an artist, I really feel like there is light at the end of the tunnel when we hear you say that, because artists really needs manager who knows about businesses, because artists a lot of time don't understand the business side of things, and that's why artists with a lot of talent failed, not because they're not no talents, because there's no business mind. And I think in terms of business mind, you started Norwegian Cultural Center last year. You started business last year in the midst of COVID. Why at that point of time would you because the situation is getting more and more uncertain and it's not stable, but you just carry on with this venture. I mean, what are your thoughts behind this when you just continue? Because a lot of businesses stopped. A lot of people just okay, I'm going to stop for now, but you just no, we go on.
No, I think it's a combination of two things actually. So one is that I was exposed to some astrology. So I watched some astrology sessions online, and I found out that the previous 150 years has been what they call Earth era, and now we're transitioning to something called Air era, which is more everything is kind of online, and it's anywhere, anytime. People want access to whatever they need immediately, and it's kind of shifting a lot from the traditional point of view, traditional industries.
Yep.
So that was one part of me wanting to transition. Another part was that I really believe that the creative and arts industry is going to succeed much more now going forward. And why I'm saying that is because I know that artificial intelligence is going to replace a lot of traditional occupations. So, and not only kind of frontline workers and these kind of obvious things, but even lawyers and doctors, medical doctors, will see a lot of benefits using artificial intelligence, which actually will replace a lot of the kind of the repetitive and so just some boring task, but also kind of to do huge analysis. And this kind of transition will actually require people to change a little bit their education, or actually how they see education. What is the future economy? So going forward, the arts and the creative will have a much bigger role, because I mean, if everything is handling by artificial intelligence and technology and all this stuff, what is needed from us then is to think more broader, wider, to be creative, to kind of to see things in a much broader sense and a bigger and deeper understanding. And that is something we definitely can learn from the arts and culture industry.
And it's difficult to replace creativity with artificial intelligence. It's almost impossible.
Yeah, you need the creativity to create the AI.
Exactly.
But aside from that, would you? I mean, because in the arts, you are artists. Would you think that AI will be able to replace artists?
No,
I don't think so.
I think they can supplement. They do some kind of experiment now how AI can create paintings and stuff like that. But I mean, to have the mindset, the mind of a creative artist, you cannot replace.
Yeah, you can't replace soul with artificial.
No,
artificial intelligence.
So artists is still soul. Yeah, very interesting. So like until now, there's 1 year in the arts and culture. It's definitely challenging, especially in this pandemic. There's all this uncertainty. So what were the hurdles actually you came along during this COVID season? Like I'm sure there's a lot. There's a lot as you try to plan and develop the Norwegian Cultural Center and even the school. Yeah.
No, I think it's actually we don't consider it as a difficult time. We consider it as a challenging time.
Yeah.
And to be kind of thinking out of crowd is always fun thing for us. So when we are in this situation, we really think potential. It's like something which will move you to the new level. You will do something. You will look at things differently. You will you find not standard solutions, and that can actually that's exciting. Yeah, that's what the driver for us, I think.
Yeah, I think it's actually exciting times for the people who are willing to try to see opportunities and leave what is not working behind and grab new challenges. Yeah.
Okay, and of course, it's not just all hardships. Like, was there any like particular milestones that has given you the most impact during the last whole year? Because I forgot to mention that Norwegian Cultural Center is coming to 1 year old.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although it was incorporated like July last year.
Yeah.
But the team actually start coming together. We start coming together in early November. Late October. Yeah. So it's almost a year now. Yeah.
That's
So
nice when you have fun.
so within this year, like what was the thing that gave you the most impact?
I think what was really interesting for me was when we started to plan Karius Baktus and bringing Karius Baktus, which is a traditional Norwegian story about some tooth trolls, to bring that to Asia and to launch it in Chinese. That was something which was really kind of driving me, at least. Unfortunately, it had to be postponed, but nevertheless, it will definitely happen very soon.
Yes.
And so that was kind of a milestone when we started to do the construction of the props and set and the rehearsal of the artists and actors and all this.
Yeah.
So that's a big milestone. And then the second was when we went online. So
yes, I agree.
When we pivoted to more online content, we are launching some Chefs Kitchen program. We are launching Artist Spotlight, where we try to bring young talents a bigger platform to be recognized. And of course the Sofa Chit Chat, which we are actually in now. So all this.
Started a YouTube channel. It's like it was a big deal for us actually to go in front of the cameras. It was a lot of internal kind of
struggles.
Yes, struggles. Yeah, but we were both surprised. We discussed it a lot, like how easy it went. Actually, so it's like hidden talent, It was nice to discover that.
Yeah. So there's a lot. It's not just only performances, very specific arts and culture. You went online to have Chef's Kitchen, which is about food, and food is actually a very important culture. In all kinds of cultures and tradition, and share that. And also the Artist Spotlight was the one you mentioned about bringing the artists and giving them a platform.
That's a great initiative.
Right. And NCC has not slowed down, has been adding more and more programs. How did you manage to get through this pandemic period when I think businesses are not doing so well? How did you get through it?
I think actually it might be time to have a fundamental change in the way you are approaching arts and culture business. So what I believe is that we need to be self-sustainable. We need to find ways to make our ends meet without asking for grants and asking businesses for sponsorship necessarily. Of course, it can be a bonus. I agree, it's nice to have some sponsorships, some grants, but that should be a bonus, not the main source of income. So what I really believe in is to build a cultural business or artistic business from the ground up based on kind of basic commercial values. And then on top of that, you can ask for grants and get businesses to sponsor you. So,
yeah. And so actually we have not seen NCC slowing down at all during this uncertain period of time, but NCC is actually even programming more stuffs, and there are more things coming up. So any future developments what you want to share with us?
Yeah, I'm quite excited actually about our future because, as you said, we are not slowing down. We are increasing in different programs. So what's coming next is, for example, theater classes for kids. We are going to start cultural seminars, and not only in Singapore. We are going to offer both online and offline because we want to be a cultural center globally, not only between Norway and Singapore.
Yeah. So this is like your plan, your future plans for Norwegian Cultural Center.
I think it's already happening. Actually, we interviewed one guy from Mumbai last week, and we have people connecting with us from Argentina and from Croatia and Japan and different countries, Philippines, for example. So we are already there, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, and also a good note something to note is actually, you did mention that actually Norwegian Cultural Center, you would actually be the first one to start a proper Norwegian Cultural Center because there isn't any Norwegian Cultural Center around the world.
Actually, I think the task of this is put to the embassies around. Of course, the Norwegian embassies abroad, they are kind of entitled to do this kind of job, but what I believe is that mostly they focus on the business part of it, not so much arts and culture. So I would be more than happy to take this role.
Yeah. So before we end this interview, from real estate to establishing this online homeschooling to having this culture center, this is quite a journey. So can you share with us what is your biggest takeaway so far?
I think for me the biggest takeaway is again like be adjustable to the situation. I'm now very much more strong than before, so I can handle much more like uncertainties in something. So it was a great time. Second thing, I think that it's like I'm spending much more time with my so to say hobby. I'm an area which before I consider only as a hobby, like for example music with creativity and stuff. Now I can be inside this industry, and I'm super excited. It's like a really huge driver for me. It gives me a lot of energy and a lot of enthusiasm to do things. And another thing which is I consider extremely significant is that I'm exposed myself to the world. So for example, in front of camera like we're doing now. Even at the beginning of this year, 1 year ago, I would definitely say no, like I can't imagine that at all, that it would happen with me, but now I feel quite comfortable with that. So I consider it as an achievement.
Yes. And what about Jon?
Yeah, so what was really impressive for me was to see actually how artists are actually embracing their own passion and following their dream and just jump into that, because I'm coming from the business side of it, and there's more like formalities, more structure, more organized. You go for the paycheck, the higher, the career, the prestige, the status, all this kind of stuff. But not necessarily that you enjoy so much to work with what you're actually working with. But in the arts industry, I see that people are so engaged, so passionate, so it's really kind of encouraging. And this has been kind of really eye-opener for me, and I definitely want to be in this industry.
Thank you, Jon and Olga, for being with us today and being on the hot seat for a change.
Thank you so much.
I hope you have enjoyed this episode of the Sofa Chit Chat, and do not forget to follow Norwegian Cultural Center's social media channels and click on the subscribe button below. And this is Jacklyn once again, and I hope to see you at the next Sofa Chit Chat.